The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Touchdown, Seahawks!
It's time to BS.
I'm running on 4 hours of sleep, but the show must go on.
Oh, man.
Oh, my God. So, context is key here, ladies and gentlemen. So, I have a CPAP machine, Dustin.
Yes.
As I've told you. So, and it has like a reservoir for where the water goes, because science, bitch, how this works, there we go. I thought my camera shut off for 2 seconds. So how this works, off to a great start.
Yep.
Is the CPAP machine takes clean water from the reservoir and it pumps the oxygen out of said water and into your lungs. So you don't die in your sleep. 'Cause sleep apnea does that. Don't believe me? Don't believe me? Reggie White died of sleep apnea.
Yeah.
Hall of Famers, Reggie White. So, off to a fantastic fucking start.
Not even the Minister of Defense could defend against it.
You know what? You know what? Just where is that? Where is that stupid meme? Off to a great start. Holy Christ. So what happened was, Dustin, was I would roll over my back and the water would somehow seep in through the through the hose and into my nose. I'm like, fuck.
Oh, jeez.
So it woke me up at 3 a.m. I'm like, fuck.
Man.
Oh.
Man, it's the worst, isn't it? When you know what I hate more than anything, and I don't have a CPAP machine.
Thank God you don't. So
yeah, they look like they're a lot to deal with, but I do have a night guard because apparently I started grinding my teeth after my mom died. I don't know why, but or maybe like during her cancer battle. Who knows?
Yeah.
That probably makes more sense. But I have a night guard. But other than that, I'm okay. But I hate when you got to go to sleep. You can't sleep. And then you start doing the stupid shit where you're like, it's 2 a.m. If I fall asleep now, I could get 4.5 hours.
Oh, that's the worst you can do, though.
And then like 3 hits, and you're like, all right, well now I only have like 3 hours. I hate that. It doesn't happen to me too much anymore. But yeah, it's the worst.
So when I was going through a shitty relationship about a couple years ago, my doctor told me, it's like, do you grind your teeth in your sleep? I'm go, I don't know why. It's like the enamel around your teeth is deteriorating really fast. And I'm like, oh shit. It's like, what? What? So and he asked, like, do you find your jaw hurting in the morning? I said, sometimes I do. Why? It's like, you're grinding your teeth in your sleep. I'm like, well, shit. And
oh man,
I never forgot this. My doctor basically said, keep the stress out of your life, bro. You don't need that shit. He was cool. He was cool. He was cool as hell. So I will give him credit for that. Anyway. Oh boy. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 5 of Seahawks Sessions, part of the Belly Up Sports and Belly Up Media Networks. We're coming to you from the Emerald Kingdome studio on the beaches of Long Island, New York, and the
capital
region of Albany, New York. Thank you, Dustin, for 4 hours of sleep. God help me. So
we're gonna get you through the show.
This is one of 2 shows I gotta do tonight. Jesus.
Oh man, what's the second one? Tell the people out there.
The Staniel Smooth show. So Time to BS was It was going to be the third show this week, but my co-host Jack could not make it because he's watching SmackDown.
Oh, okay. All right. Priorities for Jack. I get it.
This is what happens when you're one of many people that get your co-host into professional wrestling. So here we go. So I will give Jack a lot of credit. When that dude is into something, he is committed to it.
Oh yeah, he
He's
goes in.
very committed. So I will give him a lot of credit for that.
He's got to be a Sonic fan because he saw Sonic 3.
He is a huge Sonic fan. He's a huge Sonic fan. I have not seen it yet. I want to see it. So much so that he somewhat pollutes the show every now and then. Rams talk, and it's just like every now and then you gotta play this sound. Every now and then you gotta play it. So what are you gonna do? But then he loves it. It's just because he rolls with it. He's done this. He's done this for years. So I give him credit for that. So how are you doing, Dustin? I hope you're doing better than I am. Because oh my God, if you're watching on YouTube, look at my eyes right now.
You are. I'll be amazed if you can get through the second show. And with that in mind, I'll try not to keep you too long here. But
please. This is entertaining as shit.
But I am doing okay. It's people around me are, they're getting sick. We got coworkers sick. We got other people sick. Everything's going around. I'm trying to dodge it like the artful dodger, trying to dodge it like K9 jukes defenders out, even though he was on IR for the rest of the season. Because if it's Charbonnet, or McIntosh, they're just going to run straight into him. K9's a little different, so I had to go for that analogy. But to that end, I've also had some family stuff going on. I'm not going to get into much of that, but unfortunately, I did not get to see as much football in the final game of the season. But I did catch up some with the Seahawks-Rams game, and we're going to get into that later in the show. But other than that, I'm doing okay. And other than the fact that you're very tired, I do understand that you're the owner of a brand new car. Welcome to this week's edition of Seahawks Sessions Car Talk. We really got into it with Kevin last week for like 20 minutes of the show.
I will give Kevin a lot of credit though. He does know his old cars.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I will give him credit. So off air story time. So I was the owner of a 2004 Buick LeSabre. It's my first car. It was a nice car. It did its job for 5 years. What happened was the transmission went. But it didn't go. It didn't blow. I didn't blow the transmission yet. Thank God. But so that would have cost me a few, maybe a lot in towing or whatever. But so when your transmission's going, if you put your foot on the gas and you shift the gear and blah, 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 you'll hear a boom sound.
Mm-hmm.
That's the transmission. If you hear that, your transmission might be going. So I went to my mechanic. I said, hey, take a look at this. See what is this? I thought it was the brakes the whole time.
Yeah.
I told you this.
Yes, that's what you mentioned last week on the show. You said, I think I got something going on with my brakes.
So he called me on Friday, and he said, so, I got good news and bad news. The good news is, it's not your brakes. The bad news is, it's not your brakes.
Oh, man.
So he then went, it's your transmission. Like, oh, fuck! So, I then proceed to, go frantically do research and give myself a panic attack on Saturday night. So that was not fun. And then Sunday, I went to 3 different dealerships, Hyundai, Mazda, and Chevy, which were all conveniently next door to each other, on the same freeway. So that was nice. And I went to Hyundai. They were going to offer me $250 for my car. And by the way, everything was stock. Well, for the most part, everything was for the most part, shit was stock. They were offering me $250 for this car. Mazda was going to offer me nothing for it because, fuck Mazda. Anyway, and then shit, I'm sorry. It's just Mazda's expensive.
Yeah.
The cheapest car I saw was $34,000. I'm like, fuck you.
Jesus, that's more than my car. And I paid extra to have stuff put in my car. So,
and then I went to Chevy and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna give you $500 plus you get this Chevy Trax." I'm like, okay, what's the catch? It's like, if you lease it, you pay this much. If you take a loan for it, you pay this much. I'm like, I take lease. So all paper hours and hours of paperwork and stressing and burgers later.
Oh yeah.
Here we are. So, and the drive's great.
Well, that's good. That's good.
No
I'm
problems,
glad you're
thankfully.
Yeah, I'm glad that you're happy with your new smooth ride. And I will tell you, as someone who owns both a car and a home, the only time that I had paperwork that was worse than the car, buying the house. A closing, you got a lot of paperwork. So, but car is a close second, man, because then they try to get you. I'll tell you, when I bought I am very happy with my Subaru. I now own it. I paid it off. I did take out a loan, but I had a
there you go.
I had a hefty sum to put down. Luckily, I was very lucky, and this was pre 2020, so the car prices were a little different then. And
shocker, ladies and gentlemen.
But right after I buy the car, I'm talking like they tell me, okay, Subarus are safe, blah blah blah, and I had done my research. I knew the car I wanted.
What happened?
And so no, nothing bad happened, but it was just funny
goodness.
because the guy comes out. So I like finally buy the car after a bunch of haranguing. I got my payment where I wanted it to be. I leave, and this other guy comes out, and that's when they try to sell you all the extra warranty stuff, like the rust proofing, all that other stuff. He comes out,
rust proofing, that is real. Come on, as a welder, you can go politely fuck off.
Yeah,
you can't prevent rust; it just happens.
Yeah, especially where we live, because guess what? Snow happens. You got to put salt on the road. It's a fact of life.
It's called It's called oxidation, people.
Yeah.
The scientific wording for it.
The guy comes out. He goes to me. I'm just, so he goes through all of his list, his menagerie of products that they try to offer to jack up my payment, which I just spent like an hour negotiating down. And he says at the end of it, he goes, so I'm just interested to hear how you'd like to protect your investment today. And I said, I'm not going to. And he jerked back. He jerked back, and he was like, that was a quick no. May I ask why? And I said, well, because I said your coworker Dave over there just spent an hour telling me how reliable this car is, and he also told me that if I got all minor service done here, that they would extend the warranty. So I was like, I see no reason to add another warranty on top. And the guy just got up and left.
See, it deep down, he was going like, in his head, he was like this.
What you have done has made God very unhappy.
This is what happens. You just got to fuck with the salesman every now. I unfortunately have not gotten to that point. I still live in an apartment, so that's fine. But I have not gotten to that point yet where I'm gonna have to buy a house. Well, but I'm gonna get to that point.
Yeah, probably at some point, especially if you have like family expansion plans, or whatever. But I know you got a couple milestones coming up first that are pretty important. But I will tell you, I am so happy that I bought a house when I did, and I got very lucky. There is no denying that. I was able to apply for a grant. I got it. I was able to buy at 27 because my mom, smarter than me, I wanted to move out and get an apartment, and she was like, "Why?" I know that a house. She goes, I know a house is your goal, and she said, "Why don't you just we can coexist? It's not like you can't stand me." She said, "Stay home. I'll make you pay a bill, and you'll be able to save up for a house." Because back then, Mr. Smooth, I had dreams of putting a recording studio in this house. Now, since then. That's why, and it's no shade to people that have an apartment. I just knew I couldn't put a recording studio in an apartment, but I guarantee
Dude,
you
I have 3 microphones scattered around this apartment. One's here, one's in the chair, and the other one's right behind me on the couch. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it's like, if I turn this way, there it is. It's right behind me. And it helps the fact that I can screen mirror this computer onto that TV behind me as well. So
yeah,
it does help. Thank you. Also, 2 cameras. That does help.
Oh yeah, dual cameras. I only have one. I'm slumming it in here.
It's fine.
But
that's my dream also. Whenever I do buy a house, is I want to find a way to get one of the rooms and make it the quote unquote de facto studio.
Yep.
That's my dream. That is my dream. That is my big compromise with my fiance. I'll be like, listen, babe, let me do this, please.
Yeah. You could tell her you could have the rest of the rooms. I got this one. But for astute eyes back there, you may notice that there's a pop screen and what looks like a music mic behind me.
Yeah.
And you can't see it, but there are a bunch of
I see a couple
cases.
guitars. I see a couple guitars behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple guitars. There's a couple guitar cases, 4 of them off to my direct left, my left. So unfortunately, what happened is when I bought this house, the basement was like semi-finished, and I'm like, perfect.
Great.
I'm like, perfect recording studio. And then I started taking apart some of the stuff that was down there because I wanted to replace it, and we found out that the basement had water problems.
Oh, great!
Lots of water problems, which she did tell us. She did tell us it was disclosed, and my home inspector found it. But basically, for the first 7 years I owned this house, anytime it rained and or snowed, a few days later, I would have about 40 gallons of water in a certain spot on the floor.
What the fuck?
So I shop vacked it, and I have saved up to waterproof the basement because I did get some money when my mother passed away, and some of that went to waterproofing the basement. So it's all set now, but I've also had plumbing problems, which has caused water. So I finally gave up after years and years of the basement studio dream. I'm like, okay, screw the basement. I've had too many water problems down there. This room that I am in, I want to do much what you have done. I am making this into the podcast / studio space, quote unquote.
Which you have the ability to do it. Like, understand this. Like, the market could eventually crash.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, for those who do not know like how economics and marketing and the market works, every certain point, usually around this time, the market either booms or crashes.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually how it works. Don't believe me? Look out the last 20 years.
Yep.
Shit happens. 2008. There you go. Brett Favre with the Jets. Shout out to you, Ryan. But it happens. So, and I don't know how familiar we are. We'll get to Seahawks talk in a second. But
we're going down a rabbit hole right now.
One of the problems that Long Island does have is that a majority of the citizens here are blue collar.
Mm-hmm.
The problem here is that the houses and the prices are very white collar.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
That's the problem. So it's a major clusterfuck and a half because you're seeing it a lot more and more with a lot of the blue collar citizens that say, hey, want to buy a house on Long Island because screw the city. No one wants to live in New York City anymore. Let's be honest here.
Yeah, I mean, talk about pricing out
don't lie.
The cities.
Don't
the
lie,
city's
people.
Ridiculous.
Don't lie. You don't want to live in the city. Don't lie.
No.
So all the iron workers and all the carpenters and the masons and like the blue collar guys, the working peeps, they all come here. Mm-hmm. The problem is they can't afford it because Long Island, for a majority of the last, 4 decades, was white collar.
Yep.
Very white collar.
Yeah.
So there's a whole street back in my hometown in Blue Point, Long Island, where there's like one side is distinctly like blue collar The other side's all the doctors.
Okay.
And you can and I joke with this all the time. It's like, you want to know the difference between the two communities? Look at the houses. It's like, look, doctors, lawyers, iron workers. There you go. It's just funny to me how I look at this stuff and I go, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
Now you know why.
No, and believe me, I know a bunch of factors lined up so that I could get this house at 27 years old. I am 41 now, and I guarantee you that had not everything lined up, I probably would not be able to afford my own house, the house that I'm in, for, I probably would have had to wait another 10 years to buy it if that was even feasible. And the thing is, people tell me all the time, people go, are you ever going to move out of that house? Because my house is nothing fancy. It's very small. And I'm like, no, unless something drastically changes in my life, my mortgage is cheaper than most people's rent. And I realize how lucky I am to say that. So I am staying put. I am staying put.
Where's that sound?
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
We do enjoy these things, ladies and gentlemen. We like cheap living. Hell yeah. We have a game to recap, Dustin.
Yes, we do.
The Seahawks had to quote Rams fan Jack over at Time to BS, how does it feel to beat our JV team? And porn star Jimmy. Where is it?
Yeah,
there it is.
Yeah. If you've been listening to No Creds, Ryan's been catching me off guard. He says a certain phrase anytime I mention
he
Jimmy
learns.
Garoppolo.
Yes.
He says a certain phrase anytime I mention Jimmy Garoppolo for the last couple of weeks, and it catches me off guard. So I'm just like, oh no. Jesus.
Do you want to know where he got that from? He got it from me.
I was gonna ask.
I have a clip somewhere. It's on the YouTube channel. I gotta find it where it's just abusing the Old Spice button. It's just fantastic. I'll send it to you when I get. But it wasn't a bad game. It was like, all right, we knew it was coming. We knew it was coming at that point. I gotta find it. Now I'm committed to finding this thinking clip.
And I mean, that's the frustration because, like I said, I didn't get to watch this full game. I had too much family stuff going on, family meetings, whatever. But the thing is, like, I felt like I was hoping that we would knock Jimmy Garoppolo into the ground, and just pressure him all the time. And they did get some sacks on him, but Jimmy and Jack's right. He said the JV team, it was half their starters were out. Tutu Atwell's catching passes for him.
DeMarcus Robinson's there.
They kept it competitive, and I was a little disappointed. But as you just said, a win is a win, and at least And you know who came out to play? One Geno Smith. Because he made $6 million in bonuses on that game.
4 touchdown passes for this guy, by the way.
Yeah.
Can we also give credit and say AJ Barner is going to be a stud for this
You've
team?
Called it.
I called it.
He's doing well. He had a touchdown this game. I mean, he's getting after it. But we also, and we're going to dovetail into another topic. And if you follow the Seahawks at all, you know what we're going to talk about. But Geno was over 4,000 yards this year. Bonus. Leading the Seahawks to 10 wins or more. Bonus. Completion percentage of 69% or higher.
70.
Bonus. Yeah.
70. It's one of 20 quarterbacks in history to do that, by the way.
So he was motivated. They were motivated to play. And I don't care that it was against the Rams backups. Part of me wishes in an alternate reality, this game had higher stakes because I was hoping that it was for the NFC West Division crown, but I'm still happy about the way that this season panned out. Cause like I said, we were playing with house money, in my opinion, house money. And, I thought that this was going to be more of a rebuilding year. I'm happy with what Mike McDonald has done. with the exception of one decision that has baffled me, which we will get into. But what are your thoughts on this game? Did you get to watch the entire game?
I did get to watch the game. I got to watch most of it. I had some stuff to take care of on Sunday because, there are car stuff.
Your car.
My car. So, I'm not going to lie. I was pleased by it because it showed, okay, there's a lot to build here. Getting 10 wins from a rookie head coach is not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
Especially with, filling in gigantic shoes to fill in Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
Whether you like to admit it or not, that's what it is. And overall, I think they played really well on both sides of the ball. So, my expectations for the offseason and 2025 are up there at this particular point. But so transitioning here, and after the game, I think it was like 1 or 2 days later.
Yes.
There was a very interesting move that happened that after, what was it, Monday or Tuesday or something like that? So the Seahawks have announced they made a very interesting decision, and that is firing offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb after one season.
Yeah. And
the reaction of the fan base is toss up, I guess you would call it here. Well, a good majority of the fan base is like, oh, thank God, because the offense is too good in order for this inconsistency. The other side of the fence is, why the hell did you fire a first-year offensive coordinator when you're trying to build an identity? The other side of the fence is, and this is where I stand, is, okay, at least there is change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That I guess, okay, because I'm more on the other fence where I say, why did you fire him after 1 year? He's still adjusting to the pro game, but I will agree with your argument in that another hallmark of the Pete Carroll era is he would hang on to his guys way too long, and I get
Cable.
it. I get. Oh God, yeah, Tom Cable, Darrell Bevel. I mean, even Shane Waldron. Well, that was Russ's selection apparently. But
Shane and Brian Schottenheimer were both Russ guys, so you really can't say they were Pete Carroll. I mean, Schottenheimer maybe he was both of them, but whatever, we won't. know.
Shane was a complete Russ pick, but I mean, still,
because of the Rams.
Yep,
that's why.
The McVay Rams, and I mean, I do understand too, because Pete did say one time, because he was asked years ago, why are you hanging on to these coordinators when they're not? And he said, it's not an easy decision just to break up families and uproot family. Like, these are people's lives. And I get that side of it.
He's not wrong.
Yeah.
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong. But, this one did kind of baffle me, though, because Grubb left. Wasn't he supposed to be the OC at Alabama?
He was going to follow Kalen DeBoer.
Yep.
Who was the head coach at Washington?
Yep.
Because that was the year Washington went to the national title game and lost to Michigan.
Yep.
DeBoer then took the Alabama job because Saban just retired.
Yep.
And they was taking Ryan Grubb with him. I think it was days later McDonald called Alabama and said, "Hey, Grubb, get your ass back up here." And here's where I stand. Mm-hmm. So on one side, I'm like, okay, this is an interesting move because he's a first-year offensive coordinator who was very pass-heavy.
Yes.
On a team that was designed to, okay, we want to set up the big play, but not like take 5 different plays to set up the big play like Pete did. Mm-hmm. Like, it wasn't inside zone, draw, play action pass. It wasn't predictable.
Yep.
With Grubb's system, it was unpredictable to a fault. We get it. A lot of motioning, A lot of guys were open. Jackson Smith and Jigba went off during the second half of the season because of Ryan Grubb's system. No shame there. However, here is the offensive line was putrid.
Yes.
And the previous year, under Shane Waldron, Charles Cross looked great. Abe Lucas was out for most of the year. But Anthony Bradford looked really good as a rookie.
Yep.
And the center position with, what was it, Evan Brown? Yeah, Evan Brown was there.
I believe so, yeah.
It was Evan Brown last year. There was too many damn centers here. And then Austin Blythe. I think it was Austin Blythe, I think. But regardless, there's a lot of moving pieces around. And with that same tier group of offensive line, they could do squat in the running game. So who do you blame? Most of the blame goes to the offensive coordinator. So
yeah, and that's
there's a lot of the good, the bad, the ugly here. I keep cutting you off. I'm sorry about that, but there's a lot of good, the bad, and the ugly in this. Shout out to Clint Eastwood for you. So most of you young folk will not get that reference. But that's called a great movie. Anyway, so it's one of those things where you go, okay. The good news is at least Mike McDonald wants to do change.
Yes, he's not afraid to do that.
Thank God for that. Because how many times have we prayed for Darrell Bevell to get canned?
Yeah.
After the Super Bowl loss. How many times have we prayed for that?
Yeah.
How long? How long has it been? For years.
Yep.
And then when he finally got fired, it was like, oh, thank God. And then they hired Brian Schottenheimer. It was like, oh, fuck.
Yep. So, from
another Carroll guy.
Yep.
So I think there's you want Mike McDonald clearly wants a guy that's going to fit his scheme.
Yes.
And his vision of what he wants to do.
Yep. That's what I got when I read the quotes. You know, I read some of the quotes that came out of Mike McDonald, and he talked a lot about alignment. And he wants a vision that aligns with the team. And then he would turn around and say, not that we didn't align with Ryan, but, you know,
two heads butting against each other.
Yeah, I read between the lines, and I thought you hit the nail on the head that it was a pass-happy offense. And I think it's clear that Mike McDonald wants to rely on the run more. Now, there is a subsect of fans out there that I kind of agree with a little bit that basically are saying Ryan Grubb took the fall for the offensive line. Now, who do you put the offensive line at? People are out there putting the offensive line at the feet of John Schneider because, in theory, he is the one that assembles this roster.
However,
but
the last 2 years they had a pretty decent offensive line.
Yeah,
say what you want.
Yeah,
they're pretty decent.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, you can't always. What's the old expression? You can't force the players to play, or it's something like that. You can't control how the players play. Once you're in there, ultimately it is up to the players. You can coach them up, you can draft them, you can do everything within your power. But if they're just not getting it, sometimes there's nothing you can do. But I do feel a
lot of bad draft picks. Been a lot of bad draft picks.
Yes.
Don't believe me? The Seahawks, when they traded Frank Clark, drafted L.J. Collier as your replacement. Why does that name sound familiar? Oh, he's only having a great year with the Cardinals this past season. Nothing special.
Yeah.
only took him 6 years to finally get used to it.
Yeah.
And we had him.
Yeah.
Couldn't do shit with him, but what are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I mean, but I think this move ultimately came down to Ryan Grubb did not run the ball enough or focus on the run. And I think that Kenneth Walker is a very good running back. And I think a lot of Zach Charbonnet, obviously, he's proved it. And you've been a big fan of McIntosh. So I think that's part of McDonald's argument is, hey, we have these guys here.
You have a three-headed monster potentially running back.
Yeah, let's use them. How often
can you say that?
Yeah.
Or in today's league.
Yeah, not very often. Yeah. And I think that's what McDonald wants to do. And I think I think that's part of the failings of the team a little bit is they were a little bit too pass happy. Was it nice to see some innovative type plays from the offense? I would say yes. And is it fun to watch all these passing numbers be put up? But it didn't get you over the hump. You got to keep defenses honest. And I think that the Seahawks relied too much on the pass and also the red zone issues. Some of that probably was at the feet of Ryan Grubb.
That's probably the biggest reason why Grubb ultimately got canned, because there was a lot of blame going towards Geno for this. And you can't blame Geno Smith for this whole thing, because you can, but you can't. Because, again, he did throw the interceptions, which you preached on numerous times.
Yes.
But at the same point, none of those guys are getting schemed to be open. Okay? Tyler Lockett, God bless him, couldn't get open to save his life in the red zone.
Yeah. Jackson
Smith and Jigba, a miracle he got open. The tight ends. You got two good tight ends.
Yeah.
It's been a long time since you've had two good tight ends in this offense.
And I feel like silently Noah Fant was coming on a little bit towards the second half of the season. He was starting to find his way in this offense.
And so was AJ.
Yep. Yeah.
AJ's a rookie too.
Yeah.
Michigan rookie too.
Your boy. Your boy, AJ.
He reminds me so much of like an angry Jimmy Graham. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. You know, I will admit, one of my favorite tight ends that played for the Seahawks for a little while
was Jeremy Stevens.
No,
there it is.
I was going to say it I couldn't say it with a straight face.
I remember clear as day because my dad's a Steelers fan. He loved Joey Porter. I remember the Joey Porter interview was like, "Yeah, I think Jeremy Stevens is soft as shit."
Yeah. No,
and Bill Cowher's like, "Why would you say that in public?"
No,
dumbass.
Zach Miller. I love the way Zach Miller played for the Seahawks when he was there.
What was it? The first 2015 when Jimmy Graham initially got traded here. Yeah. I thought, okay, you got a 6'7", 6'8" monster in Jimmy Graham. And Luke Wilson who can sprint.
Yeah.
Down the field.
Fan favorite Luke Wilson. Everybody loved Luke.
Techno Tuesday.
Yeah.
So, and that I think it was around that time where I started to sour on Pete, which was the Jimmy Graham trade, which is you have this super weapon in Jimmy Graham and you can't figure out how to use him. Why'd you trade from then, huh?
Yeah.
That was a Pete move. I'm sorry. That was a Pete move.
Yeah. And that was tough too, because I remember thinking like, you know, Max Unger, I don't think he got the credit for how good of a center he was.
The Saints did. The Saints thank for that too.
Yeah. They you know, and we missed him. And Jimmy Graham just never really. You thought he was going to be this other weapon for the offense at the time that had him, and you know, but it didn't pan out.
I will never forget the predictions that people had the Seahawks at that point, the second the trade was made. Do you remember the predictions? Many were picking Seattle as the NFC favorite.
Yeah.
In the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Many were picking the Seahawks to go back to the Super Bowl for a third year in a row. And they got shellacked by Carolina in the second round. Yep. Never forgot that. Yep. So let's move on. Let's move on to the likely candidates. Now, 3 of the names that are currently being interviewed, or being listed here, one of them is being interviewed tomorrow as we speak. We'll get to him later. And there's one name that I have thrown out to you before through text that we've had.
Yeah.
I'm very curious to see what you think about this. So the first name that's up here is Bears interim head coach Thomas Brown.
This one baffles me. This baffles me.
I am willing to trust the process, but I'm not confident in said process.
Yeah, I don't understand. And this is no disrespect to Thomas Brown. I don't know him. I don't know enough about. As a matter of fact, when I first saw Thomas, as I thought it was going to be Thomas Jones, the former
Oh,
Bears
yeah.
running back, and I'm like, what? But
What?
Thomas Brown, okay, he made some decisions in this Packer game that it was so baffling that the Packers ended up losing that game anyway. I mean, but he's done nothing in his and you have to wonder how much of it is in his control. But Shane Waldron isn't the OC anymore. He was let go before Matt Eberflus. So who's calling the offensive plays? Is it Thomas Brown? And this Bears offense has looked inept. Now, how much of that is on the coaching versus just the wheels falling off the Bears this year? We'll never know. But I'm not seeing his short tenure as the interim head coach of the Bears. I don't understand what makes people look at that and go, let's bring him in to be our OC. This one I'm just baffled by.
Beats me. So the next name that has thrown in is a former Super Bowl champion as a head coach. Has been a head coach on 2 different occasions. Also comes from the Andy Reid tree. This is a name I've thrown to you about that I'm fascinated if he gets interviewed.
Yeah,
Doug Peterson.
yeah.
Doug Peterson has been a innovator on offense. He's a former quarterback, formerly with the Eagles and the Browns. Has been around the league for a long time.
Yeah,
both as a player and as a coach. I think Doug Peterson would be a very interesting hire.
Yes,
or damn near interview as an offensive coordinator. Because I'm agreeing with you when you said maybe he uses this as an opportunity to get back into the head coaching positions somewhere down the road.
Yep.
But as an offensive coordinator, would not hate this in the slightest.
No.
Wouldn't hate it at all.
No. And I mean, we texted back and forth about this, but I agree with you. When you said, what about Doug Peterson? I'm like, you know what? If he would want to do that and kind of take it to rebuild, like I said, rebuild his resume a little bit and prove, hey, I can still do this. Let me show you. I would like this. I would like this very much. Now, the only problem is, and I'm just kind of thinking out loud here, and tell me if you don't agree with me, but I feel like even with the hiring of Leslie Frazier, which I thought was a very smart move to be, like basically an associate head coach. We got the youngest head coach in the league. Much was made about it.
Yep.
Would there be any worry that Doug Peterson, too big of a personality, too used to being the head man, how would he work under Mike Macdonald? And they want to make sure that it's Mike Macdonald's coaching staff. And would people start looking at Doug Peterson because he's older, he has more experience? Could that create a conflict? I don't necessarily think so, because we see this all the time. We see somebody kind of stumble a little bit as a head coach and then go back, and then maybe a few years later, they're considered for a head coaching job down the line. Now, the exception to which with this should have never happened again was Josh McDaniel. How he got that second opportunity with the Raiders, I'll never know. Because some of the stuff that came out about him, there's a reason he was insulated and protected in New England, because clearly he's going to fumble the ball when he's given control. Oof. But
I'm fascinated by it because he's an innovator as an offense, and he's a former quarterback.
Yeah.
That's where it fascinates me. But he could also give Mike some pinpoints here and there. Hey, hey, why not try this?
Yeah.
Let's get the ball to our running backs, or let's get the ball to our tight ends, or let's get the ball to our all-pro wide receivers.
Yeah. And I mean, I would like this too, because did it go very well in Jacksonville in his latest year? No. And
No.
But people forget, though, Trevor Lawrence had about the worst first year with a head coach that you could have, because Urban Meyer, absolute joke. I will take every shot. I will take every opportunity to take a shot at Urban Meyer. It was just a couple of years ago that Doug Peterson had successfully rebuilt Trevor Lawrence, and he
May
looked
I
the
take a
best that he
jab
looked.
at
You
the
can.
college coaches?
You
Because college head coaches do not mean shit when it comes to the NFL. Don't believe me? Nick Saban.
Yeah.
Nick Saban, when he came to the NFL from LSU to the Miami Dolphins, was like, oh my God, I can't rig the schedule anymore. I just pissed off the entirety of college football fans.
Yeah.
Fuck you. So,
Say
yeah,
nothing
Nick
of
Saban
Bobby
rigs the
Petrino.
schedules. I'm sorry, but college football coaches don't mean shit when it comes to the NFL.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer rigged schedules at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Brian Kelly with Notre Dame, same shit.
And also, newsflash, these NFL players aren't 18-year-old kids that you can just bully around either.
And take advantage of.
Yeah. Yeah. No, say less of Bobby Petrino. Bobby Petrino, again, he left during during his time with the Atlanta Falcons. Apparently, they're in a pregame meeting. He's with some of his coordinators. And
Did
then
I just leave the studio?
Yes.
Did I just leave the studio? I was recording. I was mid-recording the roadcast. I was like, shit, I did not just do that.
Yeah, you left the studio, but don't worry. I was taking a shot at Bobby Petrino because remember what he did with the Falcons.
Oh,
he apparently
God.
the stories came out that he essentially did the Homer Simpson and said, "Let me go get something from my car," and left. He apparently, if this is true, they were in a meeting. They were analyzing game film or something and prepping for games. He says to his assistant coaches, his staff in Atlanta, he goes, I got to go get some food. He leaves and they're like, where the hell is this guy? How hungry was he? And they turn on the TV and they see the breaking news of him being hired at Arkansas and he's doing the woo pig suey. What a piece of garbage.
Oh, my God. I'm sorry, but college coaches, fuck off. Just politely fuck off. You know what? Just fuck off. And I'm a Penn State fan, okay? I had to deal with, yes, enter the jokes.
Yeah. I'm not going to do it. I'm not taking the easy fruit.
Where's the soap? I'm sorry. It was right there. It was low-hanging fruit, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, the next one's interesting because he's the son of a Super Bowl champion head coach, also offensive coordinator, Clint Kubiak.
Yeah.
What's more likely to happen? The next guy we're going to talk about or him? Because one of them has their season currently still going on right now.
Yep. But you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they get the old Clint Kubiak is a proven commodity. He was a head coach for the Texans, no, wait,
That was
never
Gary.
mind. Yeah,
It was Gary.
I'm confusing him with Gary. My apologies. But what did Gary Kubiak like to do when he was with the Shanahan coaching tree and during his own time? He liked to run the ball. And I imagine when Clint has Alvin Kamara down in New Orleans, guess what they did? They ran the ball. It was one of the few things that went right for them this year. So I feel like if Mike McDonald wants to emphasize the run moving forward, Kubiak's a safe pick. He's a quote unquote safe pick.
This I think is the more likely option.
Yeah.
Because despite the shit Saints record they had, despite the shit record the Saints had this season,
yeah,
majority of it was on Dennis Allen. I'm sorry, but it was.
Yeah, not a good. I mean, come on.
Oh God.
We saw his Raiders tenure.
Okay, I have a question. How in God's green earth is Mickey Loomis still there? How? How?
He's got inappropriate pictures of the Benson family. That's what it has to be.
Please don't be Gail. Please don't be Gail Benson, the mother. Please. I don't need to see the raisins.
Oh, man.
Anyway.
I heard
was right there.
Yeah,
Right
yeah.
there.
It was.
Oh, jeez.
Oh man.
By the way, speaking of the bayou in Death Valley,
Love that they always made him from Death Valley. I also, the other wrestling classic, I love when they would just say parts unknown. That's the best.
that was good. That was good back in the day.
Yeah.
My favorite Rumble match I've ever seen was the 2007 Rumble, and the Great Khali when he came out and was like kicking the shit out of everyone, and then all of a sudden it's like number 30 pops out, and I remember Michael Cole going, "Who can stop the Great Khali?" And then JBL goes, "Absolutely nobody." And then all of a sudden the gong noise goes off. just goes like. That I remember popping on my seat like, fuck yeah, there's the winner of the Rumble right there. Because Undertaker in his prime was a special from like 1998 to like 2010. No one could beat this man. Nobody.
Yeah, he carried the company. It's been well documented.
Weirdly enough, yeah, he did. So, again, I think Kubiak is the more likely option, but...
He's the safer pick.
He's the safe pick. The favorite right now is this man, Lions offensive line coach Hank Fraley. I don't know if you know this man's career. He's been around the league for a while as an offensive lineman with the Eagles back in the day. He has been the offensive line coach, granted, of the best team in the entire fucking league. I'm sorry, Kansas City, the Detroit Lions, and their mammoth offensive line.
Yeah.
He's also learned under Ben Johnson, but at the same point, he's calling plays for the first time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's what's a little tough. Like a rookie play caller, but I can see the logic. You and I were talking a little bit before the show. Maybe he can help shore up the offensive line, which in turn would benefit the offense, which in turn would hopefully help the run, So who knows what angle they were attacking this from? This would be, if this happened, I would be much more excited about this than remember when they were interviewing Kafka, the Giants OC, and I was like, what are you doing? What about the Giants offense wanted you to, interview this man for your head coaching vacancy at the time? That was like, that seemed like overthinking the room. And obviously I'm not a GM. I'm not one of these people that thinks I can do it better. But this seems like looking at things from a different angle, but I feel better about this one. This I could actually see happening. I wouldn't be disappointed if it happens. I mean, this is what's going to happen. Right now the rumors are out there that Aaron Glenn is the front runner for both the Jets and the Saints job. That was the latest that came out today, that apparently the Jets and the Saints are going to be fighting over him for their head coaching position. This is what happens when a team is good for an extended period of time. Pieces of their staff go away because they get offered head coaching jobs.
Yep.
We know it all too well.
Dan Quinn.
Yep. Gus Bradley before him got the Jacksonville job.
I'm not surprised. I'm shocked that Gus Bradley has been out of the job on many occasions now. It's a shame. It really is a shame because he's a good dude.
Yeah.
He really is a good dude. But out of the four we mentioned before, who do you think is more likely?
It's Kubiak. It's Kubiak for me.
Wouldn't hate it.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't hate it either, but I also there's so much a part of me that would be interested if Doug Peterson would actually come to town, but I just don't think that's going to happen. I wonder.
Make a dream.
Yeah. I mean, if I was running the Seattle Seahawks, if I was making the personnel decisions, I would do my best to try to lure Doug Peterson to town. But I wouldn't be unhappy if it was Lions offensive line coach Hank Fraley. I would not be unhappy if it was Clint Kubiak, because we know from the coaching tree, as I screwed up as usual, but the coaching tree, it is well established that
Bill Walsh.
they know how to run the ball. The Shanahan to Kubiak coaching tree, they know how to run the ball. Mike Shanahan's system, it was widely believed they could make any running back run the ball, and to some degree that's true. But he also had Clinton Portis. He had some good running backs, and also, obviously Terrell Davis, no slouch.
Also, to look at, here's going to bring more Kubiak into the play here.
Yeah.
He was the offensive assistant for the Broncos in 2016 to 2018. Quarterbacks coach and offensive coordinator from 2019 and 2021 with Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
2022, he was the Broncos passing game coordinator and quarterbacks coach. 2023, he was with the 49ers.
Yeah.
As the passing game coordinator. So he was basically second in command.
Yeah.
To Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. That's just
it would be interesting. It would be interesting.
Get the running backs and tight ends more involved.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, you have to. Now I'm going to throw out one name to you that we did not talk about at all. We did not talk about. Now, I do not think in any way he is in contention for any of these jobs, because if I'm reading right, he has been, at least is interviewed or is going to be interviewed for some head coaching jobs. But what about former Arizona Cardinals quarterback and former Jets quarterback, and I'm trying to think of some other quarterbacks, Josh McCown, current quarterback coach in Minnesota? What if because
Josh McCown wouldn't be the worst option, because Josh McCown had 1 year in Chicago. I think it was 2013.
Yeah. With
the Bears, where he just went off for Chicago. And then, Mark Trestman, God bless Mark Trestman.
CFL legend, decided to put Jake Cutler in the last game of the season against the Packers. What happened? Yeah.
You played Aaron Rodgers off a broken fucking collarbone, ladies and gentlemen. Look how that turned out. So I wouldn't hate it simply because of the fact it's the great unknown.
Yeah.
And he's a journeyman NFL quarterback. He's been around the league forever.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it all comes down to, like, who's going to be who's the most available right now.
Yeah.
It's the first three we just mentioned.
Yep.
And Hank Fraley would be very likely, because he's a former offensive lineman.
Mm-hmm.
But Kubiak would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because they could bring him in now.
Yeah, they could bring him in now.
You can't do that with the Lions. They're still playing. They're
Yeah.
still playing. And McCown's an interesting name that's been out there. And I personally think he needs to be a coordinator before he's a head coach. We've seen how it goes when you elevate QB coaches directly to head coach. Dave Canales, the jury's still out on Dave Canales, but we remember Seahawks legend Jim Zorn did not go well when he was elevated. Yes. He took the job. He was Seattle's quarterback coach, and he went directly to head coaching for the Washington Redskins at the time. And he had a hot start. I think they started like 3-0, and then everything went super south.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
So the question, since Ryan Grubb got fired, a lot of Seahawk media, Seahawk Twitter, radio, podcasters, whatever, has brought up, unfortunately, again, this discussion once more. The continued talk of trading DK Metcalf. Is it more like... Disclaimer. Let's preface this by saying, I don't think you're for trading DK. I'm certainly not for trading DK.
Yeah.
None of us here are for trading DK Metcalf.
No.
So before the people in the comments come after us and say, why are you against DK Metcalf and all four trading him? Fuck off. We're not. Continue. Is it more likely that Metcalf gets traded because Ryan Grubb got fired? Or do you think the deal gets signed with likely or not?
I almost think that it is likely that it is more likely, and I'm going to go out in left field a little bit. If Tyler Lockett stays as a Seahawk, are done, which you look what he wrote on his cleats.
Unlikely.
You look what he wrote on his cleats after before the game. You look at some of the stuff that he's come out. He's talked about how grateful he is. I hope he doesn't put on another uniform. But if Tyler Lockett is done, not just in Seattle, if he's done in the NFL, then you don't get rid of DK, because you still have DK Metcalf, and you have up and coming Jackson Smith and Jigba,
and
on the other
Bobo's still
side
there, and then there's the other three or four guys of Derek Young, Cody White. They have depth-ish.
Yes, but you can't. DK becomes the veteran. DK becomes the de facto leader of that, because right now, as long as he's still there, I know his skills aren't where they used to be, but Lockett is still, he's the leader of that wide receiver room. Yep. He's got the respect, but if he leaves, it opens up a void, and DK is still a asset and a piece. So I don't think the trade, I don't think the firing of, in my personal opinion, and I may be totally wrong, but it's my opinion, man, as the dude once said, I don't think the firing of Grubb impacts DK Metcalf as much as Tyler Lockett's future with the Seahawks impacts DK Metcalf, because then they need that veteran presence, and DK becomes that guy. And we have both said the only way that we would want DK traded is make him an offer that you can't refuse, and go get
Don Corleone, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, it would have
2 movie references in one podcast. How about that?
Oh, of course. That's why synergy, my friend, synergy. But
Schindler's List.
You can't just get rid of DK. Also, for what it's worth, what do you think attracts new offensive coordinators to come to town?
That
Weapons.
guy.
Yeah.
That guy right there. The 6'5", 240-pound, 0.01% body fat of a muscular human being. That guy attracts offensive coordinators.
Yes.
Don't believe me? Randy Moss.
Yeah.
Calvin Johnson. That's who he's compared to.
Yeah. They want to use in the best sense of the word.
That guy.
Yep.
Also, Jackson Smith and Jigba is really good too. So
yes,
that does help.
Of course, which is probably why some people are arguing, okay, yeah, we trade DK Metcalf because the system's going to be changing and they want to emphasize the run more. But guess what DK Metcalf does?
Triple teamed.
Yes. Part of it is on Jackson Smith and Jigba has got to be given credit, because ultimately he started figuring stuff out, but some of it was also Ryan Grubb's system. And another part of it was, guess what? DK was drawing double teams. So, I don't understand. There's a fine line between wanting change because it's needed and wanting change for change's sake because you're unhappy with something with the team.
Desperation's a hell of a drug.
Yeah. To quote another movie, desperation is a stinky cologne, John. Do you know what that's from? Super Troopers. I love that. I love that movie.
That's right.
I love that movie.
It's a good one for you. What do I think is a really good one for you? Ooh, How to Train Your Dragon. It's a really good one.
Oh man,
I don't know if you can see the Tower of Movies. That's right beside me. That's a whole tower of DVDs.
Oh man,
there's one right. There's one to the right of the TV, and there's one to the left of the TV.
Okay, you got it flanked.
Streaming gets
respect it.
expensive.
Yeah, it does. It does. And also, they just randomly pull stuff. So I respect it, man.
Fuck
you
you,
are,
Netflix.
You are a physical media guy. I respect
my god.
it.
So hold on, let's see what I got here. Inconceivable, The Princess Bride. I will die on this fucking hill and say The Princess Bride is not a chick flick. It's not. It's not a chick flick. What? Let's see what I got here. Pulp Fiction's here somewhere.
Okay. All right.
Patriots there. Barnyard. 8 Mile. Great movie.
Oh,
Scarface
man, The
is
Patriot.
there. The Godfather duo, which we don't talk about the third film.
Yeah, we don't talk about the third one.
Have you seen Crash?
It's been a long time since I've
You've
seen
seen
Crash.
Crash,
But yeah, I
though.
have seen it, yeah.
Fantastic movie. I'm going to watch that tonight, actually. It's not
I may or may not have it in a binder that is out in my living room that I can't really talk about because I did some things with Netflix at one time.
Are we thinking of the same thing?
Yeah. And also, shout out to my friend Kenny who joined Blockbuster's mail-in DVD service because he was like, they let me return 5 DVDs at a time. I was like, oh man,
Okay,
you're really getting after it.
All right. Oh my god. So for those who do, yes, Blockbuster was a thing, ladies and gentlemen. Blockbuster. I remember Blockbuster. We had a Blockbuster like 2 minutes down the street from where I lived back in the day, and they had like buckets of popcorn. It was fantastic. The buckets of microwave popcorn. There was like a jumbo bucket of popcorn.
Yep.
It was so great. It would fit in your microwave and it'd pop like all over the place. It was great. And the butter was like embedded into the kernels. Oh, so awesome.
I might have to watch a movie.
Your stomach
after
was
this.
ruined for days, but it was worth it. Let's see what other got here. Air Force One. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Titan. Have you seen Titan AE?
No.
So back in the early 2000s and the late 90s, Hollywood figured out that animation looked really fucking good. Don't believe me? The Iron Giant.
Mm-hmm.
It uses that animation. What else is another good one? Atlantis: The Lost Empire, Treasure Planet. Somewhere in there, animation looked fantastic. Sinbad: Legend of the Seven Seas. I'm a movie nut if you can't figure it out by now. So, and somewhere around the mid 2000s, it just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
I'm like, why? It looked so good and so clean.
It's
Titan
because
AE was one of those movies.
Yeah, I think it's because, they went all in on the Pixar style. That has replaced animation in my uneducated opinion.
Lamb.
Which no shade to the Pixar style. I like Pixar style. I like some of the Pixar movies.
Yeah.
But I am with you as somebody who grew up. I mean, I loved Disney animation.
Tarzan.
Yeah, especially
Tarzan's still my favorite. Tarzan's still my favorite Disney film.
See, that one I'm not as familiar with because I am a little older than you, but I like a period of Disney animation that a lot of people argued was a crappy period of Disney animation, but I don't
80s.
care. Yeah, the late 70s, early 80s. Two
Yep.
of my favorite Disney movies are Robin Hood, respectively, and The Rescuers. I love those two.
I love that movie.
Yeah. People get all over them, but I love those ones. And I mean, 101 Dalmatians, and we could go down the rabbit hole. But I also shout out a friend of mine, my buddy Chris, who I talk about often. He and I were talking about oh God, his name is escaping me. The animator that did American Tail and Fievel Goes West and all that.
I'll think of it eventually, but I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. That was another great studio that was doing animated things. All Dogs Go to Heaven. That was them. Man, his name, it was on the tip of my tongue and I just lost it.
So what do you think of, because I'm a Star Wars junkie.
Okay.
I have said this 1,000 times. I've said it before. I will say it again. If Star Wars did not exist, Lord of the Rings would be my favorite franchise. By fucking far.
Okay.
However, I'm unfortunately going to get a Star Wars tattoo because I'm a sicko. and it's going to be a lightsaber.
Okay,
And
nice.
it's going on my bicep, like right here on my bicep. It's going to be fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to suffering, with the lightsaber going down the middle.
Okay.
It's gonna fucking hurt.
Yes,
But
it
it's
will.
gonna look awesome. But because I am a sicko and I like my tattoos, so
man.
I got my then girlfriend, now my fiance, into Star Wars.
Oh,
And
nice. She got in.
She got into the movies. She loves the movies. And I said, okay, we're going to watch them in this specific order, because this is.
Did you do the different order? Did you start? Yeah.
I started with A New Hope, then Empire Strikes Back, and then the entire prequel trilogy, and then Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
Because the way you set it up is like, okay, you get to, spoiler, it's fucking 50 years old. I don't give a shit. When you get to Darth Vader saying, Luke, I'm your father, then you finish Empire Strikes Back, and then you start the prequel trilogy. Like right then. And you fly through Phantom Menace, you fly through Attack of the Clones, and then you fly through Revenge of the Sith. I will die on this hill. Revenge of the Sith is the best Star Wars movie.
Okay, I wouldn't say that it's the best, but I am a prequel defender to some degree, because I'm going to tell you this. It is very trendy. Okay, I am a bit of a Star Wars nut myself. But it is very trendy. A lot of people shit on the prequels. And I understand why. But I would take the prequels all day over the new Disney trilogy.
Thank you.
I would take the prequels all day. And there are rumors that they are going to allow George Lucas to come back and do something. I'll take it at this point. People want to shit all over what George did. And was Jar Jar my favorite? No, but guess what? We were older when those movies came out. They weren't made for us anymore. The thing that people forget is that the old movies, they kind of fell into this timeless box. You either grew up with them as they were coming out, so you were a kid and you loved them, and it translated into your adulthood, or you were a kid and they were always on at Christmas time on TV or a holiday time. So you fell in love with them when you were a kid because they were on when you're home from school and it's cold out and everything. So then cut to the prequels, and most of these people, including myself, are, getting to the age of 17, 18 years old. Some people 20, some people in their mid 20s by the time the prequels came out. And they were all little kids when the original movies came out, or when they first saw the original movies. Now the prequels come out and they're pissed because their taste changed. And they're like, this movie sucks. But it wasn't made for you. It was made for kids, younger kids again. And it was made to attract to sell toys.
I got very lucky. I grew up right around the prequels coming out.
Okay, yeah.
I got very lucky to where my dad showed me the original Star Wars films, and I got hooked on the original trilogy.
Yep.
And then I didn't fully see Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones until later on, but I already saw Revenge of the Sith, because I still remember getting emotional when Anakin's betrayal happened. When the Jedi were getting slaughtered one by one. I still get emotional during that scene, because I go like, one by one they all fall, and it's like, fuck, man, it still gets me emotional to this day. And I still think that they had something going at Force Awakens.
Yep, they did.
They had something. They had something.
They did.
And then they took a piss all over it.
Yeah, and the reason
Disney.
That I don't
Disney.
I don't co-sign that Revenge of the Sith, although I have people crap all over that movie. Now, I don't think it's the second best Star Wars movie, but I certainly don't think it's as bad. Now, Attack of the Clones, I will crap all over that. I do not like that movie, but the movie that I do like, Rogue One Rogue
Yes.
One is one of the best Star Wars movies.
Yes.
Come at me. It is very good. Empire is my favorite. I'm one of those cliches.
Whatever.
I love Empire, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi. I love them both. And then out of the prequels, I will say Revenge of the Sith is the best one.
Do you want to know the budget? Do you know off the top of your head the budget of A New Hope?
I do not.
Give me a second. I'm going to Google it for you.
All right. At one point, I felt like I knew this. Now, some of the TV shows have gone a little sideways. Some of the Star Wars TV shows, I like some, I don't like some others. But let me ask you, as a Star Wars nut, I guarantee you're a fan of these.
$11 million.
11 mil? Wow.
In 1977. By the way.
Wow.
That's
all
crazy.
All those practical effects, but man, that movie more than made up for its ROI. I'll tell you that.
Yep.
But I love one of my favorite Star Wars properties, and he's a regular watcher of No Credentials Required, and he's a Giants fan, so I guess he has no reason to watch Seahawks Sessions other than the fact that we are awesome. So Uncle Al, come on, watch Seahawks Sessions. He loves Star Wars, but I have to credit him with he got me into the Clone Wars. And
the animated film from 2003 or the
show,
series,
the Dave Filoni show, and
yes.
he was the one that told me. He said, I know this is on like Cartoon Network and you're going to think it's for kids.
Great.
And he's like, it is, but like give it a chance. And I did. And there's some clunkers in there, but there is some really good stuff. And for a while, it was the only new Star Wars content you were getting. And I will stand by the one that came after that. Why can't I think of it?
Rebels.
Yes, Star Wars Rebels. I loved Star Wars Rebels.
See, here's a hill I was all for Clone Wars, and then I was like into it. I was like, this is good. It's Star Wars. I'm not going to shame on it. And then they brought Darth Maul back, and I was like, hell yeah.
Yeah, that was one of my
they finally gave Darth. For those who do not know, Darth Maul was in a very limited role in the first movie.
Yeah.
Technically, the first of the timeline, the timeline order.
Yes.
In Phantom Menace, he was the villain. He was killed at the end of the movie, and then up until Clone Wars, was never given an opportunity again.
Yeah,
and then they redeemed him in Clone Wars and later Rebels. And I will give them a lot of credit for that.
Oh yeah, his arcs in those shows were some of the best thing. Go out and watch them. And as a matter of fact, I still need to finish the Bad Batch.
Good.
I hadn't watched the full thing yet, but I like it. I didn't know. I mean, I could have figured that you were a Star Wars. See, it's almost like the fates aligned. Ryan brought us together. He didn't realize what he was doing.
There is a photo. I don't know if you could see it clearly enough, but right next to my engagement, right next to a photo of me and Megan, my fiance, there is a photo of the original poster of A New Hope with the original crawl, the original opening credits.
Oh, nice.
I got that from Hobby Lobby of all places.
Oh, wow. That surprises me.
So I found that at Hobby Lobby. I was like, yoink, done.
I'm taking that.
And then right below it is the logo of Star Wars, and in between, and then the logo is a picture of the Millennium Falcon. So I'm a huge Star Wars nutcase. So unfortunately, it drives my fiance nuts. I asked her, like, hey, if you had to give your humble opinion, because we're getting into Game of Thrones, she loves it so far.
Oh man,
and she loves it. And I asked her, if you had to pick between Star Wars and Lord of the Rings, which is your favorite? I will not hate either or. And she went, Lord of the Rings. It was more entertaining to get into. I'm like, I don't hate that.
Yeah.
I don't hate it because I told my co-host Jack, watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy. You will be floored by it. It is long, but it is worth it.
Yeah, it's very good. The extended editions are It's a
Fall
voyage,
asleep.
though. It's a voyage.
It's a voyage.
My sister and I watched the entire thing in one day, one time,
Oh, God bless you guys.
and it felt like we felt tired after. We felt like we had done, like some arduous task. But those movies are great,
They're
and
fantastic.
they kind of have, much like Star Wars did when I was growing up, and Wizard of Oz, certain movies just have a holiday feel because they would be on TV during the holidays. Lord of the Rings, because they always came out close to Christmas when they were coming out. They have like a holiday feel. They just do to me. And my buddy Chris, he comes up again. He and his family rewatch the entire trilogy every year around the holidays. They start it. They each Sunday they watch a movie. Now he has said that he's come around on the Hobbit films. I can't co-sign that.
They're good. They're good.
They made one book into 3 movies. I gotta.
I see what you're saying.
I guess I gotta rewatch them.
Have you ever seen How to Train Your Dragon?
I have not seen that.
So if I don't know if it's still up, you can find it on Amazon.
Yeah.
So I have on Blu-ray camera. There you go. That is all 3 films in one case.
Okay.
Target did a promotion where they were promoting all 3 movies at the same time, and this was $10 at Target at the time. A steal.
Oh, nice.
And all 3 films are fantastic. It's like, okay, the dweeb of a main character falls in love with the hot chick, and I will die on this hill, and she's the hottest animated female character. I will die on this fucking hill. Astrid, I'll die on this hill. I'm sorry. The stubborn father who doesn't believe him, or blah blah blah. The stubborn parent. Unlikely of allies. It's a story that's been done 1,000 times.
Yeah.
But for some reason, it works great.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what the fuck? And this is great. It's such a great film. And Donut, my cat, she loves How to Train Your Dragon. She'll watch the Dragon Tooth, and she'll just smile. She'll go, eh. She likes it. She loves that. And have you ever I already know that I'll quote Princess Bride, because that's still my favorite movie of all time. I love that film. Every now and then just go like, that's not right. That's inconceivable. My dad did that before because he got me into that film. So I was showing him my car before we closed up shop, because we're going out for like a tangent for 20 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
but it's great. I love doing these kind of things. But I was showing him my car. I was like, hey, he asked, do you have a button where you can open up the trunk? I said, no, I don't. And he said, inconceivable. Don't believe you. I gotta watch that movie again.
Gotcha.
I never get sick of Princess Bride. I will never get sick of that film.
Yeah, there are certain movies that are like that. You can turn them on and it's like halfway through and you've seen it 1,000 times and you're like, I'll still finish it.
Yeah, that's the Godfather for me.
Yeah.
That's the 6 Star Wars films, Lord of the Rings trilogy, Princess Bride.
Oh yeah.
How to Train Your Dragon's up there.
Dude, people can hate me if they want, but Forrest Gump is on that list.
Still a great movie.
Oh yeah.
Still holds up to this day. Who the fuck hates Forrest Gump?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who
They're
hates
out there
Forrest
though.
Gump?
They're out
Where is
there.
it? Do I have it? I better have it. I swear to God, if I don't have it, I'll be very pissed if I don't have Forrest Gump on me. I have Castaway. Yes, I do. Thank God I have Forrest Gump. Oh my God.
Oh, there we go.
It's all in the Tom Hanks section. There's Castaway. There's Saving Private Ryan. And there's Forrest Gump. And The Green Mile. There we go.
Yeah.
Green Mile. Good film.
Yeah, of course. I would submit Apollo 13 and A League of Their Own in there.
Apollo 13 is great.
Yeah.
That's such a great film.
A League of Their Own is definitely on that list for me, where he's not the lead in that movie, but he adds a lot to it. Just there's Joe versus the Volcano. We don't need to be watching that. Turner and Hooch though is a classic.
Do you know what's a great film that I got into recently?
What's that?
That people hate? people hate for some reason.
Oh,
The
man, what is it?
Notebook.
The Notebook? Okay.
The Notebook is great.
There are a lot of people in my circle that like love The Notebook, but The Notebook seems like and I haven't seen it.
So it's a long film by its genre.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like 2 hours and 22 minutes.
Yeah,
I think it's a long film. Hold on, I gotta go get it because I have the Blu-ray collection here somewhere and shit. I gotta go back up to the DVD collection. Where I put it?
Well, what I was going to say is that, and in this podcast, we've gone way off in Seahawks Sessions. It's movie sessions now, but I'm loving it. But I will say the Notebook seems to be like one of those movies. Do you know like the rite of passage movies?
Yes,
it seems like Notebook is like those for a lot of that movie for a lot of women out there, like Dirty Dancing, The Notebook,
Ghost.
There's some other like Sleepless in Seattle, things like that.
Still a good movie.
Whereas for us, yeah, I enjoy Sleepless in Seattle, and I liked what's the one where Tom Hanks is actually in it, and he owns a bookstore, and Meg Ryan owns a bookstore, and they like, that whole thing. Oh God!
Oh,
why?
it was 2 hours. It's 2 hours and 4 minutes.
Okay, 2 hours. That's not bad. But like people's attention spans are shot, but that's a whole other issue. But I have only heard about The Notebook. It seems like it's kind of revered as like one of those like, if you're a woman of a certain age or a girl of a certain age, you got to watch this.
Blu-ray. Still good.
Nice.
I'm sorry, but you people can go politely fuck yourself. I am a sucker for those kind of films.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm a sucker for those films because it's like, oh, it's kind of cute actually.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, it's sweet. And then How to Train Your Dragon has that. I'm like, it's a great film.
We have to embrace our soft sides. Can't always just be, but
I am a fucking teddy bear, and I am proud to admit that shit.
Yeah, there's nothing
Don't
wrong
believe
with
me? I am getting fucking married
Yeah,
to a hard ass.
Because you balance each other out.
Yeah, and she's stubborn, and she has a hard time admitting it because of course she does. She's stubborn, but I go like, why are you so stubborn? She goes, I'm not stubborn. Like, you are stubborn sometimes. You blatantly are. I'm stubborn, and I admit that. So
I could be a stubborn SOB, I'll tell you that.
Oh, casino! Oh my God, we're getting off a tangent. We gotta end the show real quick before we go off a tangent.
Yeah, we've been. This is what happens when there's a possibility that the Bears' interim head coach could be your OC.
Help!
Yeah.
Help!
Yeah, and just as a side note, Pete interviewed with the Bears. Do you know who he's supposedly going to interview with next week?
Oh dear Lord, no.
The Raiders. No. The Raiders.
No.
I know Pete wants to get back into coaching, but don't do that to yourself. That the Raiders, man. Oof. I think they should have stuck with Antonio Pierce, to be honest with you. Like at least the players respected him and they liked him. They just don't have a quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. But yeah, that's. I didn't mean to bring the show down right before the end here.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? Shit happens, as it usually says. But what are you gonna do, ladies and gentlemen? This has been Seahawks Sessions episode 5. This is what happens when we have no other Seahawks talks to do. We got nothing. Yeah. We got nothing at least until January. So it is January.
Yeah.
Where's the South Park sound?
Uh-oh, retard alert.
So with that, should we kind of discuss what we're going to do with the show moving forward? Are we going to during the off season, are we essentially going to get together when we feel like it? And also if there's big Seahawks news?
Pretty much up until like the draft and free agency usually picks up around like mid-March.
Yeah.
So before free agency arrives, when after 2 weeks after the Super Bowl, we'll start to get some moves leak out here and there, and then free agency will really kick in, and we'll start to make predictions and like talk about the moves and stuff like that. And then the draft will come around. Basically, we'll be taking a break in that regard, because let's be honest here, who wants, other than Seattle Sports Radio, who the fuck wants to talk about this team in like July?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
June.
Yeah.
A better example, but like, you know what I mean? It's one of those things. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is Dustin. He's coming to you from the capital region of Albany, New York. My name is Staniel Smooth. I'm coming to you from the beaches of lovely Long Island, New York. This has been Seahawks Sessions episode 5. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at eldusto67 and at Staniel Smooth, that Time to BS podcast on Twitter, Instagram, and Threads. Good God help us all. And ladies and gentlemen, we will see you all in this life and most certainly the next one.
Good night, everyone.